Great. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the ReGen Board of Directors. It's August 22nd and it's 9:04. So I'll call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Chair Shirley,
Here.
Vice Chair Delgado, Director Blackwelder, Director Askew,
Here.
Director Barber, Director Garcia Arizola,
Here.
Director McKee,
Here.
Director Pedori, Director Byrne.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great. All right, will everyone join me and rise to the pledge? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'll go ahead and I'll open public communications. Anyone wishing to address the board on matters not appearing on the agenda may do so now. No one online, no one in the chamber. Okay, I'll go ahead and I'll close public comments. We'll move on to consent. So on our consent agenda today, we have items 5A through 5F. Are there any directors who would like to pull any of the consent items? Doesn't look like anyone wants to pull any. All right, open it up to the public. Does the public like to pull any of the consent items? No? Okay. Close public comment on that, and I'll be happy to take a motion. I'll move approval. All right. So moved by Director Rudowski and seconded by Director Garcia Arizola. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. We'll move on to our financial report. This is 6A, review of the July 2025 financial results. Sure.
Morning, everybody. As board chair mentioned, this is just the review through July, so it's only 1 month of activity. Our operating revenue was about 4.8 million, and we were about 79,000 below plan, and that's primarily in the lower tip fees. MRF revenues continue to be quite strong as commodity prices are continuing to stay at higher levels. And so overall, we're in very good shape there, and hopefully that will continue. Our operating expenses are 3.9 million, and we're about 688,000 under plan for the month. And part of that's attributable to the fact, it's the first month of the year. We've done our budget, and the expenses have been, allocated per month, and we're getting started. I'm sure we'll catch up to the budget as far as spending is concerned by the time the year's over. So our net income for the month was $880,000, and we're about 600,000 over plan, which is a very good sign. Tonnage received was about 84,000 tons, which is about 3,000 higher than the prior month, June. And our diversion percentage continues to be very good. Our C&D is 75% rolling 12 months, and the entire MRF is at 69%. C&D, or not C&D, is total MRF. One couple of points worth mentioning are we spent a lot of money. We spent about $3 million on various things which are non-recurring. We had our annual CalPERS unfunded liability payment. We paid our 2026 property and liability taxes. And we also had a fairly large expenditure to a vendor for the Mod 7 development. So, our cash activity, looks like we spent a lot of money, and that was just because those things happened in July and we won't see those again for the rest of the year. So that's a quick review of July. Any questions? I'd be happy to take them. Yes, sir.
Question on the other operating expense. As you pointed out, that we're 607,000 below the budget. Normally, the first month of the year, the budget is, we know what the actual are almost when we make the budget up. I'm just surprised. I heard what you say that it's gonna work its way through by the end of the year. But at $600,000 or 25%, it's a rather significant variance.
Yeah, well, there were a couple of items like repairs and maintenance costs were significantly lower in July, below budget and stuff, and lower than what they had been. And some of the other environmental related costs were lower. And that's basically the main reasons, the other operating expenses are below plan. But as you go, looking forward, we're probably gonna catch up with that. And it's hard to predict the timing as to when some of these things are gonna happen.
Appreciate
Just a great comment, Director McKee. We are focusing on our landfill gas generation plant. We have deferred some work initially, and we're starting to develop a long-term strategy for landfill gas usage. So we may see this just tailing behind until we get our financial feedback back that we'll build and develop a financial model for the LFG plant. Is it continuing running cogen? Is it new technology? So we're right in the middle of that, and we've been deferring some of the work. So we did have engine rebuilds and other work that needs to be performed there that we're deferring as we investigate and be curious about what we want to do with landfill gas in the future for ReGen Monterey. So that is going to be an item that we may continue to hear for the next several months. And we believe we will be very close towards the end of the year with some determinations and some outcomes that we can come back and deliver to the board on scenarios and some business models that are in development as we speak now. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Greg. All right, we'll move on to 7A, which is a presentation on our site-wide signage program. Nice, something's coming in, by the way.
Yeah. Excuse me 1 second while I get the slide deck.
Zoe
pulled
does
up.
that. I'm excited by the signs as well. In 2022, we went through a rebrand, and wayfinding was one of those phases within the rebrand. So I'm really excited to see the initial big signs that are going up. There's some additional phases that will come behind it. But as you can see, our aesthetic view driving into our driveway is starting to have a different appeal as we come in here. And it is very something for the employees and for staff and for all the users to be very proud of when we come to our facility. So it's exciting to see the transition happen right in front of us. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you for the momentary pause. Thank you, Felipe, for getting us started here. Good morning, Chair, Board of Directors. My name is Zoe Schutz, Director of Communications, and I am very happy to share with you this presentation. It'll be one of 2 presentations about our site-wide signage project. And as Director Shirley mentioned, if you're attending in person, you may have seen some of the first bits of the signage coming along our mile-long entry road, Charles Benson Road. And that's just the start of things to come, as this is a full site-wide signage update. So we started to undertake this project and we divided the work into 3 phases. Phase 1 was an audit of the existing program, wanted to see really what was. We had basically put signs in place piecemeal over time across our campus. And so we first needed to understand what messages were being communicated. And so we did a full audit. It was a pictorial audit that was put together. We then put together a list of goals that we wanted for the new project. We established those goals. We started to create some sign content, and we developed the new sign program. Phase 2 was more of a art, design, and direction. So we wanted to use our new ReGen brand and implement that with our signage so they looked consistent and beautiful across the site. And phase 3 is estimates, permitting, fabrication, and installation. So really the meat of the project, putting the signs in the ground and getting them actually fabricated and put together. So I'm going to start with some of our audit. So, excuse me. Phase 1 of the audit was really plotting all of the signs on an overhead map. So we numbered each sign, and we quickly came to realize that we had 93 signs in total on our site. Felt like a lot. And when you're delivering that much information and you're delivering it in a way that's piecemeal and kind of a little haphazard, I think that's why our customers were really getting confused as they were navigating our site. So I'll go through a little bit further detail of the audit to show you what it really looked like. So you may recognize some of these signs. The one on the left is along our mile-long entry road. It no longer has the tarp. It's in worse shape than it was when we took this picture. But directs customers to cover their loads so that way debris is not falling out. And then the sign on the right, towards the top, was our main wayfinding sign for our entire site. So when customers came to the four-way stop, had already made a lane decision, they were then directed by what is probably a 3 foot by 3 foot sign, roughly, if at most. You can see the stop sign behind it to get an idea of scale. And it just really wasn't sufficient to getting people where they needed to go. And then you can see below that, Keith Day Company had put a sign directly below. So in the absence of a good sign program that ReGen had developed, we had third parties on our site, making up the difference. Here's another example of wayfinding signage. This was at the entry to our landfill on the left. You can see it's kind of been pasted over time. At ReGen here, we have a saying that things are ReGen permanent, which means that as we develop the landfill, the entry and exit roads are always changing, where people are delivering their loads are always changing. So it's a challenging environment to try to sign for, as you can see. And our operations department, in the absence again of a good signage program, did what they could to make signage that was effective, if not beautiful, in getting people where they needed to go. And on the right-hand side, you can see that's our signage for our materials recovery facility, our MRF, and it's dated with our old logo, the seagull. So it's time for a change. Sign on the left here is one more example of this is a spotter station at our public tip floor side of our MRF. So this is where the majority of our customers come and receive directions on when they can proceed with their load to deliver. It's a very busy, safety would probably say this is maybe one of the most dangerous areas on our site. It's got a lot of traffic, and this is the type of safety signage that we had there. It's cute, but you can see that it's maybe could use a little more zhuzhing to make it again kind of part of the ReGen brand. And she's got a seagull on her hat and her vest. Sign on the right is just exiting our scale house. It was basically directing all traffic to go right instead of going left, just around this what we call a racetrack around the MRF. And so it's effective in getting people to turn the correct direction, but then after that, they didn't know where to go. So if I'm going to the MRF or the landfill, like this is all I have. So we needed to help further direct people, because once they passed that sign, that was basically it. And the last example I'll share is just again, kind of signs that have seen better days. So we wanted to establish sign goals. We wanted our new signage program to be consistent, concise. We wanted to have clear messaging and wayfinding. We wanted to reduce the overall number of signs across our site, and we needed to create a multi-level sign program. So most of our signs are viewed by vehicle, so we need to take that into consideration. But we have wayfinding signs on our site, which are probably some of our most important. Identification signs showing where each building or facility is located. And then we have informational or inspirational signage, which basically tells people what they can and can't do, or for safety, like what they should and shouldn't do. And as we were developing this, we had to consider the multiple users of our site. So on the right-hand column, you can see we had the general public, which is broken into subsets. We have frequent and infrequent users. You have the folks that are coming here every single day, know this place inside and out, and you have the folks that are just delivering a load for the first time ever. They've never been here, and like the mom and pop self-haulers, and they need to be able to use our site as well. We have last chance mercantile customers. We have Monterey One water users, vendors. We have franchise haulers. We have product purchasers that come and purchase things from our MRF, like materials. And then we also, very importantly, have English and Spanish speakers. And traditionally, we had not catered to both of those audiences. So that was a new goal for us, is consider all of those users. And one really important part that I want to mention is that this sign program that you'll see was developed in coordination with each of the departments here. So one of the things that we did was gather departments like our MRF department, our shop department, a different landfill department. We said, what is working, what is not working? How can we help you? Because they're really the people that are seeing the folks that are lost or confused, that sort of thing. So next, we wanted to develop the new sign program. We needed to organize the information quickly for people to be able to understand it quickly and easily. And we decided to use colors for destination zones that you'll experience post visiting our scale house. So the scale house, the customers will interact with the folks at our scale house, and they will direct them to a particular location on our site, whether it be the landfill, our public drop-off area. That's a new term that we decided to use very intentfully rather than material recovery facility. Organics, that's also a new term for us. We usually would say, green waste, because a lot of times it would have been yard trimmings and that sort of thing. So we're kind of renaming things as we go as a part of this program. And then concrete and asphalt. So those are the 4 main destinations that as visiting our site, if you go through the scales, you will be directed to. So color coding those destinations and providing wayfinding via color and name was really important for us. And again, in English and Spanish. Prior to visiting our scales, if you're coming down the mile-long entry road, we decided to use destination names. So you could see the scales would be one destination, one of our main destinations, Last Chance Mercantile, Household Hazards Waste Facility, our recycling drop-off, our administration office, Monterey One Water, and then a few of the other vendors a few of the other organizations that are on our site. And we decided to do this with all of ReGen's colors in mind. So you can just see the color palette that's part of our branding to help inform the colors that we used on the destination zones there. So the next phase was to plot signage on maps for what we wanted for the new sign program. So we worked with our department stakeholders. We created 8 maps in total. We decided very quickly that we couldn't put them all in one big map as we had for the initial audit. So we created 8 maps in total of kind of each area of our site. And we plotted we worked with the stakeholders to plot where we wanted each sign, what content would go in each sign. That was informed a lot by the audit, like what was existing and what was working, what was not. And then, so you can see on the left-hand column, you can see like what the sign, it's very small, I realize you can't really read it. You can see what the sign content is very briefly and where it's located on the map. And then on the right, you can see it's a legend for our traffic signs. And a point of note is that of the initial 93 signs, traffic was not included in that. So these are just kind of custom ReGen signs. So as we moved forward, what we found out was we actually need more signs, not less. Which was a little disappointing, but we came to that conclusion and feel like it's the best operationally for people to be able to get the information that they need. So that was a little bit of a surprise. That said, I think the organization of the content of the signs will be very important to still create clear and concise messaging and still achieve the goals that we have as a part of the sign program. So the next thing that we wanted to do is work on priorities for how to implement the program. So the first thing that we did was decided to work on wayfinding. The number that you'll see on the right, 40, is how many wayfinding signs we think we need across the entire site. Scales was our next priority. As you'll see later today as a part of this meeting, we'll be going over to the new scale house. So we wanted the lineup of the new scales opening to coincide with new signage. So that was our second priority, but it's included, the numbers of those signs are included in the other areas depending on what type of sign they are. And then identification, so that's building identification and informational signage, instructions, traffic is 53. So we have a total of 109 signs, again, not including the traffic signs. And for the design, this is the wayfinding portion that we came up with. So these are some of the signs that you may have seen coming in and have already been started to be implemented across our site. You can see sign A is the largest wayfinding sign on our site. That's the first one that folks see as they're coming in the mile-long road. Initially, we wanted to put every direction that people would need to go once they hit the four-way stop, and that ended up being like a 32-foot tall sign, so that wasn't possible. So what we did is we looked at the areas where people would most travel and decided to include those in that first sign. And then the subsequent signs, D, E, and F, allow people to receive the rest of the information before they make a lane decision at the four-way stop. So with these signs, we feel like people will be able to safely navigate to the lane and be able to decide if they're going to make a left, right, or go straight through our scales. The sign on the right, G, is an example. This sign is placed directly after our scale house instead of the all traffic turn right and then no more instructions. That's an example of our color-coded system showing the different destinations that you would be directed to as a customer if you've gone through our scale house. So next I want to share with you some identification signs. These are signs that will be placed on our building. We decided on our buildings across the campus. We decided to use the architectural elements of each of the buildings to create a backdrop for the signs. And you can see the scale house on the right. That's kind of one of the entry points to our site. So we wanted to put the full ReGen logo on there. But you'll see as we move across to some of the other locations on our site, we're deciding to use the logo mark only and then the building identification. So this will further help people to figure out where they're going and realize they've come to the right spot. It'll also help our staff, instead of saying, hey, do you see that big gray building over there? Which is like all the buildings, and they're all pretty big, except for that's the biggest one. The signage will help people say, oh yes, the material recovery facility, I see it. So I think that'll help both staff and customers. This next set of signage is just an example of informational signage that you'll see at our site. So we decided again to use the brand colors. We organized content using headlines, kind of a hierarchy of text size to identify what is the most important information for people to look at. And we also used color. So you can see that on the liability notice and the warning, we're purposefully using red for the types of things that we want people to pay attention to for safety or danger type messages. The sign on the left, kind of that triplicate sign, will be replacing our spotter station at our material recovery facility. So that's what customers will see before they enter that very dangerous area. Stop, wait here until you have an attendant. We have a list of our safety rules and then a liability notice because it is a very dangerous area. And the sign on the right is an example of one that would be at our landfill, just letting folks know that the heavy equipment has the right of way.
Question,
Yes.
just small. I noticed the words are all the same, but the letters are canted a little bit and from the top to the bottom.
Correct. Good point. So what that is actually going to be, this was a mock-up of the sign. I'm glad you pointed that out. Thank you. The canted letters are going to be Spanish. So you'll see safety rules on the top. We're not going to repeat safety rules in English. It's going to be the Spanish version of that text.
This one.
Yeah, and the reason why we didn't have that for this is just a mock-up of the sign. We haven't actually developed this particular sign yet. So once we have the English language fully decided, then that's when we would translate into Spanish, and that'll come closer as we get to the production of this particular sign.
So all the English words are straight up and down, and the Spanish words are canted.
Correct. And that'll be the case for all of our signs, with the exception of proper nouns. We're not going to translate proper nouns. So if we go back to this wayfinding sign, you can see, for example, on the sign A, we have scales, escalas, but then we have last chance mercantile, which is a proper noun. We wouldn't translate that. So it's English and Spanish, with the Spanish being italicized.
You also chose not to use bold italics.
Correct.
It's a little bit harder to see, I think.
It is, and we looked at, I can see what you're saying. We looked at the option of using bold italics, but one of the problems that we ran into is the distinction between English and Spanish. So you want to easily be able to decide which language you're reading and then how to find that next, the next instance of that same language. And we found that when it was all bold, the two were kind of almost indecipherable from each other. So we looked at color, we looked at bold, we looked at italics, we looked at all the different options, and color really wasn't an option because it didn't have good contrast. Bold was too similar to what was going on here, so this is what we decided. These particular signs, A, D, E, and F, and actually G too, actually, all of them except E. E has larger letters. The rest of them have 5-inch letters, so they're quite large, and we tested them at length, driving Charlie Benson Road at speed to try to see, well, how far in advance can I actually read that sign? And we had to keep into consideration the size of the overall sign. So that's why the signs are as big as they are, is to ensure that people can read them when they're driving at speed.
It's complicated.
It gets complicated to make it simple. Yeah, exactly.
That's really fun.
Thank you. So the last thing I wanted to go over as a part of this presentation was the project cost estimates. This is phase 3 of the project. So we've gone over phase 1. Phase 1 was the audit, developing the sign goals and the sign program, the maps plotting all the signs. That's been completed, and we've spent $25,725 to date on that as under our general manager's signing authority. We've started phase 2, the sign design and directions. So we have kind of templates for all of the signs, but we haven't actually taken all of the information for each of those signs and applied them in the templates, if that makes sense. We do have a huge spreadsheet that has all of the content for all of the signs in depth. And that matches to all of the maps. So we've got all of the content, we've got it all done. Now it's just a matter of taking all of that content and applying it and laying it out in each sign itself. Yes, Director McKee.
This is a signage question, not per se on site.
Sure.
I drive down Highway 1 or drive up Highway 1, coming north when I come here. There used to be a little ReGen sign out there on the side to say you get off at the exit. That sign is gone. And is that part of your signage program or?
That is not part of our signage program, but you're very perceptive to have noticed that, and we.
Well, I get lost a little bit.
Well, as do others, so that's why the sign was supposed to be there. So what happened last winter was we had a pretty severe storm, and those are Caltrans signs. And the whole sign, or half the sign blew over, half the green sign that said Del Monte Boulevard to exit, as well as a blue disposal site sign that's right below. Those are all Caltrans signs. And we've been in touch with the Caltrans District 5 representative, and she has mentioned that there's quite a delay on getting the signs fabricated and installed. So we pinged her twice, and what was it, like a year plus or something with the backlog? Yeah, and that's important because we don't have any purview over signs that are off of our site, but we do have a vested interest in it. And so we've been nudging them as best as we can.
That'd be good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, so phase 2, we're in progress. That's creating all of the templates, the art direction. That's going to continue as we have content developed into actual signs. And phase 3, we've started and we're in progress. This was the priority wayfinding signs that we first identified along Charlie Benson Road were completed. That work has been done. We've been working with our engineering department and they have put the bids. So when we have all of a spec package, we give the bids or the specs to them. They put it on the Locals Builders Exchange network and receive bids back. And they've really been a great partner to help us implement those signage. So we've implemented just the signs on Charlie Benson Road and the one post scale house. That cost was $52,000 for those, I think it's 7 or 8 signs. Including the fabrication, installation, all professionally done and engineered to withstand the high winds that we get here. So the next portion of this project is to really scope out the rest of the signage. And we don't have an idea of how much that's going to cost quite yet. We have budgeted $300,000 for phase 3. The fabrication installation of all of the rest of the signs on our site. But until we have actually the specs where we put the content into the sign and decided how big the sign is, we can't get that information quite yet. So that's next on our list to complete, and why this is the first of 2 presentations at our board meeting. But I wanted to share with you the progress that's been made, and once we have that full spec package, we'll come back to this board with a not to exceed budget and try to implement the remaining signs of the 109 total.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Zoe. Any questions from the directors? Yes, Alexis.
My question would be, regarding Spanish translations.
Yes.
For landfill, we say basurero,
Mhm.
and I don't think that's the appropriate translation for landfill. How are we verifying, or who is helping us with the Spanish translations of these?
We have a native Spanish speaker as a part of our communications team, Franco Guzman, and he does the majority of our translations for all of our public information that goes out to site. That word, I think we had consulted quite a few people. I mean, we go beyond his scope when it's larger projects like this. But that was the word that was determined to be the most accurate by our in-house translation teams.
Because basurero to me seems like a trash can.
I'm sorry, could you speak up?
Basurero is a trash can. So the translation for landfill isn't the accurate translation that I'm seeing here.
Mhm.
The rest of them are pretty well done. But I think when director asked you about a good point about last chance work and how it's not translated. Even if it's not translated directly because it's a store name, we can translate it to something else, such as second chance store or things of that sort. Which could be translated to tienda de segunda mano, right? Or
Sure.
second chance store. It doesn't have to be directly the name, but at least it let the community members know what it is.
Okay.
Where to head to.
Okay.
I think if we have a better targeted or organic approach to the translations, it'd be a lot easier for me to read this, but these aren't finalized, are they?
Well, no, thank you for that feedback. The wayfinding signs have been put in place along Charlie Benson Road. The way that they've been developed, it may be possible, because it's a painted sign with letters adhered on top of it, it may be possible to change that translation. So thank you for the feedback. I am not a native Spanish speaker. I've had years, but it's not enough to be able to communicate with the public in the way that one would want.
And the word might be well translated, right? But the intention might be well there, but I just don't want there to be any confusion.
Sure. Yeah, we want to have the best terminology possible, and I realize that's probably there's interpretation and direct translation. I think we always strive as an agency to use interpretation rather than direct translation. Just get the intent behind it, just as you said. I hadn't considered that honestly as it came to proper nouns. I've always been taught that proper nouns should not be translated. But I do hear your point, so we'll take those two pieces of feedback into consideration and see if we should update that sign. Thank you very much, Director.
Do you have a suggestion as the technical term for landfill? Because
Landfill would be vertedero. And you can look into it a little bit more further and start consulting with other people, but trash can to me is un basurero. And that's not what a landfill is, so I think there just needs to be a little bit more digging.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that feedback.
Any other?
When you do a project like this and you go from 93 to 109 and all the words and you do two languages and so forth, there's a lot of complexity and a lot of chance for error.
Yes.
And I'm not saying slow down, but just make sure you go through the process and if this one word's wrong, are there other words that have a similar sensitivity that may be somewhat different?
Thank you for that feedback. Yeah, we'll definitely take that into consideration as we move forward with this project. Thank you.
Zoe, I would like to acknowledge all the work you've done, your team has done. I think the signs look really good. They look clean. It definitely provides a different feel when you drive on campus and you see those signs. It just, it feels good. It looks good. And just the idea that we're moving people in a way that's probably safer because now they know where they're going. So I feel like people are gonna be safer, our employees will be safer. the whole thing. I know, again, it is a lot of work and it's complex. And so I just want to share my appreciation for the work.
Thank you.
And if I could add, Chair, like, beautiful when I walked in, when I drove in, it was just a different signage and it just made it a lot easier. And when I saw where everything was divided, it's easier to navigate. I know when we do tours with our constituents, and because that's where it's hard for them to know or differentiate where Monterey water is, where the landfill is, or how to get to what. So I just want to say it was the design of it was very thoughtful. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It gives it a well-needed facelift.
Thank you. Yeah, there was quite a bit of deferred maintenance over time and with the rebrand. And honestly, to keep up with the great work that our operations team does, we provide very high quality services and we needed our brand to be able to reflect those high quality services that our operations team provides. And our past signage program was not doing that.
Seeing those pictures in our agenda packet, I was like, oh my God. They're saying, it's like, you really nailed it, that we need this.
I'd like to second Aaron's positive comments. In addition, I think it's a good role model. I've been pushing Carmel as a resident, Carmel Cares, for 7-8 years to try to improve our signage, and you've seen it if you come into town. It's not good and it's not clear. And so you presented a nice process that I'm gonna steal.
Please do.
And maybe some of the other cities involved here do that as well. And we're working on a whole new signage package for scenic pathway right now, and the CARES leader's been doing that. And it's not easy. It's not easy to simplify it because it has to be really simple. So you've done a beautiful job of doing that, and I'm gonna piggyback on your work.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate those kind comments. It's really been a team effort with, Kristen has been very involved in the signage project, keeping us organized. She's fantastic. Eric has great communication skills. And like I said, with all the stakeholders in the various departments and engineering executing, I think we've done a nice job of having a collaborative effort. It's not a fast, what I presented in 15 minutes took us quite a bit of time to put together. It's not a fast process. And I think there's some pains with that, with it taking a time to roll out. But I do feel confident that the end product will be a better experience for our customers.
Now, the website project, it's easy to change it. This is not easy to change.
Yeah, neither one were easy to implement, and we were doing both simultaneously. Don't ask me why. Thank you.
Right. I'll open this up for public comment. Any public comment on this item? Okay. All right. Oh,
I just like to add one more comment. We have 93 signs up, and as you can see, the condition was very poor. Even with the 93 signs, we still had staff always kind of directing where to go, even with 93 signs. So we're hoping with the new signs, we alleviate staff from having to be the finger pointers and trying to narrate where they're going. So really good work from all the staff, safety involved, engineering involved, communications involved, all the ops teams that we have on our facility. We're involved in the outputs. We had some great feedback from Director Odola, what we could improve on. So we're right encompassing the time that we're gonna start developing the majority of these signs. The effort has been a year long, so hats off to the communications team. They knew when they were tapped out. We went and got other resources to push it to its finish line. So we're very close, and we appreciate all the support from the board to make it happen. Our facility transition aesthetically pleasing for our visitors, and it's going to continue to improve with the additional signage coming in. The facelift of the paintings of the buildings, and then also shortly to come is the work out in the islands of our front entrance. So I'm very excited where we're headed. I think the aesthetics is showing how proud we are of ReGen, and it'll show to everybody that visits here that we're very proud of our facility, and it'll show that we're proud of it. So thank you for the continued support from the board. Yeah, thank you.
Great. All right. All right, we'll move on to 8A, which is discussion action. This is the support for the franchise collections planning. Back with communications.
2 in a row. Another fun and large project. Thank you, Chair. Here today to present an action item for your board's consideration. Would you mind pouring that down? Are you able to pull that down? Thank you. So I wanted to give a little bit of background and then present the request for the recommendation from staff for this item. So going back to 2010, prior to my time here at ReGen Monterey, our organization helped facilitate a competitive bid for franchise agreements, hiring HF&H consultants to perform that process. Through an RFP, Green Waste Recovery was selected to represent 7 of our 9 member agencies. That is everyone represented here with the exception of the County of Monterey and the City of Monterey. And through that RFP process, there was an extension of the term from 10 years, which was initially requested, to 15 years total. So it brings the closure of those contracts to various dates in 2030. For the 7 participating member agencies, we are looking at undertaking again a unified approach to selecting a franchise hauler. The unified approach provides various benefits, collaborative framework and governance, financial benefits and cost efficiencies are greatly achieved when not only we have one consultant hired for all of these cities, but also a common hauler, if that ends up being the outcome. Expertise and professional support. You'll hear later one of the recommendations is to hire HF&H consultants to again take us through this process. Operational and service advantages that gets to better service and at less cost. Administration and staffing, risk mitigation and quality assurance. There's a number of benefits to working together as 7 member agencies. So with that, ReGen has again decided to assist in this process. We put out a request for proposals for 4 different firms who specialize in solid waste collection franchise planning. Gershman, Brickner, and Bratton, otherwise known as GBB, HF&H Consultants, and MSW Consultants, and R3 Consulting Group. We initially had a 30-day term with which we wanted them to reply to our request for bids. We gave them 4 phases that we wanted to complete as a part of this process and asked for a time and materials estimate from each of those organizations. We heard back from one of them that they needed a little bit extra time, so we extended that 30-day window to a 45-day window for all of the bidders. And we anticipated having 3 of the 4 bidders be a part of this process. We heard back from one of them that they were interested. We had a meeting with them, and then they ultimately decided not to propose as a part of this project. Second one had told us that they were going to propose for half of the project, not going out to RFP, but potentially if there was negotiations that were decided that they would do that portion only. And then we had HF&H consultants who did reply with a full scope bid. And Gershman, Brickner, and Bratton didn't respond at all to our solicitation. So of the 3, we ended up with 1, HF&H Consultants, who we again currently utilize. We not only utilize them for this past RFP back in 2010, but we also utilize them for contract maintenance for each of the contracts within the 7 cities. So the scope of work was to include the following 4 phases: public education and stakeholder engagement, solicitation, drafting, and design, RFP process support, and finally negotiations. This is a multi-year project with the aim to have a new hauler in place by 2030 when the current contracts expire.
Excuse me,
Yes.
you use the word new hauler.
Oh, excuse me. That is not, thank you for correcting me. For a modern model franchise agreement for all of the cities. It does not necessarily mean that we would have a new hauler. As a part of this process and actually the scope of work in the 4 phases, thank you very much for correcting me there. It's either working with the existing provider to negotiate a new contract or extension of a new contract. Yeah, thank you. Or a new hauler. So with that, this is not ReGen's item. We're just assisting in this coordination. It really belongs to the member agencies. So we put together a subgroup of the Technical Advisory Committee, and that was chaired by Nick Becker from Pebble Beach Community Services District, who's here with us today. Thank you, Nick. And we also had City of Pacific Grove's Environmental Programs Manager George First and the City of Seaside's Administrative Analyst two for Public Works, Kristen Van Gend. They were all three involved with reviewing HF&H's proposal that came in and deciding if it met the needs of the request that was put out. So collectively, they did determine that it met the needs. They thought that it was robust and wanted to recommend to the full subcommittee that we had developed, which includes each of your seven representatives from each of your seven member agencies, wanted to propose that we hire HF&H consultants. So we are not a voting body, but the tax subcommittee heard from the selection group and agreed with their findings, and thus that's why I'm before you today for approval. So one thing I will note is that as a part of HF&H's proposal, they have requested in phase one during the public and stakeholder engagement that we hire a public opinion survey firm who can conduct a statistically valid survey as a part of this process. So we want to make sure that we're hearing from residents and it's not that it's a statistically valid process. So that's not work that they do, but they will provide a survey instrument for us, and then we can hire another firm to do just that small scope of work. So next, I'm going to go into speaking about an MOU for reimbursement. So ReGen Monterey drafted an MOU, which you'll find in your packet. We shared that with member agency staff and asked them to share that with their legal counsels, respectively. We went through 2 rounds of drafts, incorporating all of the feedback from each of the member agency staff and legal representatives, and came up with the final product that is included in your board packet. So the purpose of that MOU is to just make ReGen whole. So any costs that are incurred as a part of this franchise planning process would be incurred initially by ReGen and then reimbursed by the 7 member agencies, split evenly 7 ways. So before I get to the recommendation, I just quickly want to give Nick Becker an opportunity to come up and speak on behalf of the member agencies. And I also want to point out that we have Emily Hansen in the audience. Thank you, Emily, for joining us from HF&H Consultants. She is very versed in this, and if you have any questions regarding HF&H's proposal, she's able to answer those questions. And Nick has been, as our chair, very involved. Come on up, Nick. Has been very involved in the selection process and leading our member jurisdictions as a part of this. Thanks, Nick.
Well, thank you, Zoe, for the introduction. Good morning, Chair Shirley, directors of the board. As Zoe introduced, I'm Nick Becker, the general manager for the Pebble Beach Community Services District, and kind of first got introduced to as my predecessor, Mike Nicken, used to say, talking trash about 2 years ago, and it's kind of been a new industry, a lot of fun to get to understand and get to kind of know what you do here at ReGen. And my initial takeaway after about a year and a half of observing your organization and your staff is just profound respect, and you guys are complete professionals and really leading the industry in a lot of the things that you do. So was really excited with the opportunity to chair this subcommittee, to get involved and kind of piggyback on all the great work that the TAC's been doing to date with SB 1383. So knowing that this is kind of a large endeavor, a big decision, both for you as a board as well as all the member agencies and moving forward, I think it does require quite a bit of planning. So we're coming here with to you today to recommend moving forward with some franchise agreement planning services. And so I would like to touch on, we formed this group about 4 months ago, and we've solicited input from all the member agencies. As Zoe mentioned, we have 7 participating member agencies that have all been a part of this process to get to where we're at today. So wanted to mention to you that I'm here to represent that group today and give you confidence that we've been working with staff, executive management, and legal counsel to review the MOU and vet through the process of selecting HF&H. I think, as Zoe mentioned, has gone through a competitive bid process that we're very comfortable. We feel very well supported with a very strong consultant like HF&H to support our endeavors. And lastly, in closing, just would like to recognize Zoe and Kristen and your team here. They've been phenomenal in helping guide and provide the professional leadership in the world of solid waste. So I'd be happy to take any questions you may have on behalf of the member agencies.
Great, thank you. Do you need questions from our directors? Director Burton?
I'm sorry. What kind of questions or concerns or hesitations have you received from any of the member agencies?
I would say very little. I mean, if any, there were some questions and comments in regards to certain language in the MOU, mostly directed by individual jurisdictional legal counsels, but collectively as staff and representatives really managing the existing franchise agreement. I think it was pretty early on in the process that there was consensus to want to take a regional approach like we did 10 years ago. I think, as Zoe mentioned, I think it was quickly recognized there's a lot of benefits to that. Strengthening our negotiating position, whether or not we stick with the existing hauler or go out to RFP. I think there's a lot of benefit recognized last time around by doing that collectively. Also, from a cost efficiency standpoint, I think looking at hiring one consultant to handle all 7 agencies is a lot more cost efficient for our ratepayers. I think that was pretty evident. And again, I think there's been some experience with the HF&H. There's a lot of confidence that they'll be able to deliver. So I'd say most of the questions and comments were namely related to ironing out the MOU language.
So there wasn't much pushback in terms of the cost?
No, we talked about how to allocate the costs. I think, again, in looking at this as time materials contract and it's a multi-year contract, I think sometimes it's a bit of a challenge to anticipate what those costs will be in phases 2, 3, and 4. But we want to build in that work if needed. There is going to be a very important decision for all the member agencies to decide if they want to move forward with an RFP process or collectively bargain for a contract extension. And obviously, if we don't do the RFP process, those costs could come down.
This is new to me, like would you maybe explain it? How do you see the cost factors if a city like Carmel decided to do this on their own versus going with this joint project? How do you see the cost difference? Do you see some big efficiencies for a city like Carmel?
I would say I see some efficiencies in the cost factor and just the scale of the economy, right? Like we're tackling this, and then maybe take the survey for example. We're going to take this as a regional approach, so as opposed to individually having to do a survey. But I think also the other the benefit is I can speak for myself here. I'm not an expert in solid waste, and we have the benefit, thank you to your support for the board and allowing staff to participate on the TAC meeting, that we're really tapping into that expertise to, if you will, kind of lead the way for a lot of our member agencies. Because I think a lot of member agencies they do many other services besides solid waste. So there's a real benefit that I see in collaborating and joining forces with ReGen to take this collaborative approach. So other than the monetary piece of that.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have a question in terms of how the jurisdictions will reimburse ReGen. Will that be done on a yearly basis based off what has been spent?
Correct. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, what's been spent will be billed. And we don't have a not to exceed. It's a time and materials contract, as Nick mentioned. But we will bill on an annual basis, and it's just the true cost. It's a pass through directly. So there's no cost for a ReGen staff time, for example, as a part of this process. We're not including any of that as a part of this process.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? All right,
Okay.
I'll go ahead and I'll open this up.
Before, excuse me, if you don't mind, before we get to the actual recommendation, I want to give Emily Hansen an opportunity to come up and say a few words if she's interested, or if you all have questions directed towards HF&H consultants specifically. Would you like to? Thanks, Emily. She's been our partner for so long, worked for Green Waste Recovery for quite a time. She's very intimately involved with that contract. So thanks, Emily.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Shirley, members of the board. Emily Hansen, and up until just a couple of years ago, I was the Chief Strategy Officer for Green Waste Recovery. So I actually sat on the other side of HF&H negotiating these contracts back in 2014. Really appreciate the opportunity to participate in this process. I think it's really important to note that it's not a foregone conclusion that we would go to RFP. It's not a foregone conclusion that Green Waste would or wouldn't be the hauler. And it's also important to note 2 other things. One of those is that this is not a everybody's in or everybody's out. each of the member agencies, it's our expectation is going to maintain the autonomous rights to negotiate and to engage in a direct contract with the franchised hauler that's selected. Ultimately, that could be different haulers, it could be the same hauler, it could be renegotiating, but ReGen itself does not actually hold the contract. They are not a party to the contract with the franchised hauler. So it's important that you all understand that your rights aren't being taken away from you. It's a supportive and collaborative process, and ReGen's really acting as a conduit and facilitating economies of scale. The other thing that I wanted to share is that it's traditional in this industry when you do go out to bid that the proposer's bids would include a procurement reimbursement cost. And so as this process continues, that may or may not be part of the equation, but Chair Shirley, to your question about reimbursement, the understanding that we have is that ReGen would be paying those costs up front, and then as Zoe indicated, there would be a reimbursement component, but ultimately at the conclusion of the process, if it did go out to a competitive procurement, it's oftentimes the case that that would be reimbursed. So happy to answer any questions that you all have.
I have a question. So is the goal to really have all those jurisdictions come out with the same conclusion at the end? In other words, they all want to do an RFP, or they all want to do a contract extension, or could it be possible that some jurisdictions say, no, I just want a contract extension, and other jurisdictions say, I want an RFP?
It's a wonderful question. I think the goal number one is to collaborate. And the goal number two is to leverage the economies of scale and also preserve that autonomy. So it's really important through this process that we don't have any of those kind of foregone conclusions to persuade anyone to go in any one direction. It's really important that you get the best services for your ratepayers. So at the end of the day, that is the most important thing, and that's why y'all are going through this process. Yes.
On a relative scale, how large are the 7 agencies that we're talking about for green waste total business? What percent of the business are we roughly?
Because I'm not a green waste representative anymore, I don't want to hazard a guess. But I would say it's a good chunk of their line of business. They're also the franchised hauler in Santa
20%?
Cruz. I don't know the answer to that,
Okay.
so I don't want to speak for them. Certainly a question that you guys could ask Green Waste Recovery.
So if we go down the path, we do the surveys, all that, and then a city does not want to do an RFP, do they drop out of this at that point and they don't have to incur the costs? Or once you sign up for this, you take your share based on the size of the agency?
I'm gonna defer to your legal counsel,
Well, I may
or
be
to
able to-
Zoe on that.
Yeah, I may be able to answer that question. So that was actually one of the minor concerns that our member agencies had as a part of the subgroup. In kind of ironing out the details of the MOU is if one of the jurisdictions decides that they want to off-ramp as a part of this process, they may do so at the conclusion of a particular phase in the project. So we're gonna start out hopefully with 7 member agencies agreeing to be part of this process. Or that's the staff's recommendation from your jurisdiction staff, not ReGen's, not ReGen's recommendation. But then if, as a part of this process, say Carmel decides they want to go through this process alone, then the costs would shift. Certainly the scope would shift a little bit as well, but the cost would shift to the remaining 6 jurisdictions that would continue on with the process.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for putting this together, Zoe.
Welcome.
Really appreciate it, and really proactive too, so that's fantastic. Appreciate everybody's cooperation here with the TAC and whoever else. Just question for me, this looks like this is starting, the timeline, at least for HF and H, is through 2027.
The timeline will be, well, through the beginning of 2030 when the contracts are in place.
It's all the way to 2030.
Would you say that that's I would defer to Emily as our consultant-ish. Proposed consultant,
Potential consultant.
yeah, potential
So in
consultant.
terms of the timelines, what's often the case, we don't know what direction ultimately the group is gonna go. We don't know what direction any one of the agencies is going to go. So from our perspective, the terminus of the actual papered contract itself, there's some flexibility around that. The timeline, I don't know if you're kind of answering this or asking this question, but I'll go ahead and answer it, which is it's 2025 and 30 is when the current contracts expire.
Mhm.
And it's really important in the solid waste industry to give ample time to transition. You want that smooth for the ratepayers, you want it smooth for all the service recipients and also the procurement of vehicles. There's a incredibly long lead time on procuring a fleet of vehicles and making the transition smooth. So that's kind of why we're starting now in 2025 and making sure public opinion is taken into
Right,
consideration.
I think the bigger reason for me asking is this is ultimately gonna go to each council for kind of blessings. And I want to set that expectation that this reimbursement is gonna occur for the next 5 years, right? Like technically till 2030, starting next year through 2030, there will be a reimbursement process that each city has to pay. So I think we need to at least state that when we go to the council.
Okay.
The other thing is, in your proposal, you do have a couple of elements that stood out for me, just from how we communicate things. One is, there was a mention there for out-of-pocket expenses, and it was a $5,000 amount. And it just says out-of-pocket 5,000. Is that standard? Is that expected to creep up over the course of time? How do we define that? That just letting you know. The other thing also on a similar note is that it is stated that administrative costs, like per hour costs, are gonna increase by 3% year over year. And so I don't know if this 500,000 accounts for that 3% increase or not. But technically, that's also a factor that will come in, because if you're looking at 5 years, just like compounded, that number will go up. So I think this, it's not necessarily for you, but I would say for our communications to our city council, I think we need to really level set on how this needs to go. And then final question for you, Zoe, really, just from my understanding is, typically, I don't like it when there's only one bidder, like respondent to any kind of bidding process.
Sure.
So I was just wondering, somebody didn't even bother to respond, right? Looks like.
Correct.
Did they actually receive the communication? I mean, have you followed up to say why, or this is just a kind of like postmortem of this? Well, I think it'll be beneficial for us to at least find out for the future. Obviously, the future is now 30 years or whatever, but it'll be beneficial for us to find out generally for RFP, any kind of like bidding process that we're doing from a region perspective,
Mhm.
why certain folks are not responding and I think that'll help other folks who are taking any bids in the future too.
Sure. Yeah, as I'd mentioned, one just simply didn't respond. Two had indicated that they would respond and then didn't. The one of them had said they would only do half of the proposal, which I think probably wouldn't have met the needs. If they were only gonna do the negotiation process, that would have locked us into one option, negotiation with the current provider. And then the other one, we met with them and they were very interested and we thought that they were gonna propose on the project, but ultimately decided that it wasn't worth their time to put together the proposal to submit. I think they didn't foresee being selected as the provider.
Right. Okay, no, I get it, so things happen, but I don't know if we need to widen our search, whatever, there may be several things in here. And
Yeah.
I'm not conversant with the specific kind of line to say, these are all your only 5 that we need to go after, or can we broaden the net here?
Yeah, I think that was our aim too, was to have, obviously more selection and, to have the tax subcommittee to be able to decide between providers and ultimately select the best provider. We are confident, the tax subcommittee as well as ReGen staff are confident with the services that HF&H provides. But we would have liked to have had more opportunity for others to
Yeah,
be a
this
part of
is-
the process. I
Yeah, this
agree.
is not taking away anything from the work done with the TAC and everybody else. I'm just putting some thoughts out.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Any additional thoughts or questions? No, okay, then we'll take it out for public comment. Any public comment on this item? Those online and the chambers, okay. We'll bring it back to the board. Can I ask our legal counsel, do we need 2 motions for the, or we could just do one that includes the survey and?
That's right. One motion that covers all 3 parts that are identified in the agenda would be adequate.
Okay, great. So this time I'll accept a motion.
We'll recommend action.
Okay, First by Director Peduri, second by Director Byrne. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Okay, good. Motion passes.
Thank you. We will see you at your various council meetings with the same item in the coming months.
I
Thank
think
you.
we're first. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Yes. You're the first.
All right, we'll move on to our information only portion. We have 9A, which is our compost facility improvement project update. Motion I read.
Morning, Chair Shirley and members of the board. David Ramirez, Director of Engineering Clients here at ReGen. And I'm going to share a very quick update. This is a non-action item for the board. It's to give you all a overview of where we are with the composting project. It's actually, I can get this to work. It's actually a project that is out to bid right now. So it's on the street, we're in process. We got the bid out a couple of weeks ago and the bids are due on September 5th. And just a reminder of what the project is, we are converting our composting facility from a windrow composting facility, which you see right now, which is operated by Keith Day Company. We're converting that to a aerated static pile facility. So what this does is we're now going to be instead of making static piles, which need to be turned every so often to increase the biological activity and introduce additional oxygen, we're now going to have piles that stay stationary. And then these blowers that you see here on the kind of the top end of that, or the right side and top of these piles, that will thank you. That was me or that was somebody else. Will be blowing air into the compost and making the bugs happy and keeping the oxygen in rich environment that makes the materials break down faster. So for this portion of the project that we are out to bid for, it's the construction portion, which is the grading, utility, and installation of the equipment. The board has already approved the equipment itself, so the ducting and the fans and that stuff has been fabricated and is ready to be delivered probably in the next 3 weeks or so. So we'll have equipment here on site when the contractor is ready to install it. And so it's a very exciting time. We are also talking with Cal Recycle. Because of the equipment we purchased, we're much lower than our budget amount on that item. So we're asking Cal Recycle if some of those grant funds can move towards the construction piece, move more towards ReGen's commitment to the project. So once we get bids back, we are hoping that Cal Recycle will allow us to move those funds to support the rest of the project. So I will be coming back next month with a contract for you all to approve from a contractor. And I'm excited to see this get moving. So I will take any questions. Otherwise, we can meet up again next month.
Great. Thank you, David. Director Garcia Arzola.
Thank you. Does Cal Recycle usually typically let you use those funds for in like what you're trying to do? Like, is it norm or?
We've been priming them for this over the past few months because we were so below our budget on what they were expecting to pay, that they've said that kind of transfer can happen because they want to spend the money. They want the projects to be successful. And so they don't want to leave anything on the plate. So we're expecting them to be able to go forward with this request.
Thank you for being proactive.
Yeah.
Being under budget.
And any other questions or comments?
I agree, it's very exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be back next month.
Yeah, I appreciate the update because weren't we supposed to be approving that contract maybe this?
We were
right?
working really hard to get the contract to you this month.
Yeah,
However, we got a hiccup in the design piece of it, making sure we were coordinating the new ducting, this new equipment, which as I mentioned, is saving us some money with the previous compared to the previous equipment we were speccing. So we did have to change the design. So some of the side elements had to be changed so that they could accommodate this design, and that just nicked us over to miss this board meeting, so but we're excited to get it to you next month.
Yeah, it's worth the wait. Thank you. All right.
You?
Thank you, David. All right, we'll move on to 9B, report on the technical advisory.
Thank you, Chair. So today I'll be very brief. We met July 9th as a technical advisory committee, and I won't go through the first item because last month you already heard of it, your board. So we, as a technical advisory committee, we received a presentation about our Start With Heart SB 1383 marketing campaign presentation, which is the same one that your board heard. The second item was that HF&H provided us with a summary of green waste quarterly reports. Just so you know, that's a service that HF&H does provide as a part of their current contract for the existing member agencies. So those reports just provide jurisdictional diversion numbers, compliance, and outreach conducted by Green Waste Recovery. And your staff all have copies of those reports, both quarterly reports and annual reports from Green Waste Recovery. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Okay, we'll move on. 9C, our safety staff report.
Good morning, Chair Shirley, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I have a unique opportunity today to actually have two presenters today for the safety department. We wanted to give an opportunity to both celebrate all of the successes. I apologize, Ida, if I can get some assistance with closing out of this one. Give you an opportunity to experience a little bit more of a different safety report. I know that oftentimes we're giving some news that might not always be the most positive. That news will be shared today a little bit, but we also want to share with you the massive successes, specifically in regards to the improvements we've made with staff, with managers and supervisors. And it's my pleasure to actually introduce Sally Madero, our safety coordinator, and introduce all of the hard work she's incorporated with our training programs, learning and development, and additionally our safety week. So with that, I'll introduce Sally Madero. Thank you.
Hi, board directors. My name is Sally Madero. I am the safety coordinator here at ReGen Monterey. I've been here for 6 years. Well, officially it's gonna be 6 years next week, August 26th. So I'm excited about that. So this is my first time presenting here at the board. So I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little nervous, but I'm very excited to be presenting. So thank you to Felipe and Anthony for giving me this opportunity to be up here and present some of the safety review with you all. So in today's presentation, I'll be discussing 3 of our advanced workplace safety trainings and also our annual Safe and Sound Week. If I can get to this. Okay, there you go. So starting off with the first training, that's our SWANA landfill gas systems operations and maintenance course. So this is a new training that we implemented this year. It was completed by a total of 11 employees here from ReGen Monterey back in April. We had a group of well-versed instructors from SWANA conduct this training. And it was all on site, so none of our employees had to go off site. It was just done here, so it was really convenient. It's an interactive 2-day challenging course that provides a comprehensive review of the fundamentals of landfill gas systems and design. It covered operation and maintenance troubleshooting, emergency response, and also explores the challenges. Sorry, I'm so good. Trying to be nervous. Associated with the operation and maintenance of the LFG systems. So again, as mentioned, 11 of our staff members participate in this training. You can see the list of all the departments. So we had power system employees, landfill operations department employees, engineering department, safety department, and also 1 participant from our HHW department. So including all these team members from these various departments really created that opportunity to improve awareness of the landfill gas systems and just bring employees different departments together, building stronger connections, communication, and also just really improving the collaboration with these departments. So moving on to our second training, which is our first aid CPR, AED and stop the bleed training. So a total of 47 ReGen Monterey employees completed this training. So 1/3 of our staff. And they are certified as first aid responders. So this course, by the way, it's a fun course. I took it and I can really say that the employees really seemed like they enjoyed it. But it really equipped our employees with life saving skills that can really make a difference in emergency situations while also fostering a safer and more resilient workplace. So there is a video that I'm gonna show. So right here, we do have a few staff members applying these critical skills. So packing, and then also applying pressure to this fake similar flesh device. And it's, of course, it's fake blood. But again, they were able to really practice these critical skills. And then also one of the images, we see our employees really applying tourniquets. Also not pictured, we had employees participate in CPR techniques and also how to properly use our AEDs or automated external defibrillators since the site is equipped with those. We want to make sure that our employees are trained on how to properly use that in case of an emergency. This training was both enjoyable and it was purposeful. Employees really appreciated the interactive activities, which kept the sessions fun, while also still reinforcing the key learning outcomes, and that is to improve medical response readiness to injury-related incidents. So moving on to our third training. Live hands-on fire extinguisher training, another one of our popular advanced trainings here on the work site. So fire extinguisher training, and I'm also going to show another video. Fire extinguisher training is really essential for employees as it equips them with the knowledge and skills to respond effectively in the critical first moments of a fire. So with the site experiencing repeated instances of fires and smokers, it's really important for our employees to be properly trained on identifying the correct type of fire extinguishers for the different classes of fires, and then also operating it safely and just really taking action to prevent small incidents from escalating. So those are the three trainings that I just covered. So beyond the compliance aspect of the trainings, these courses are really there to really help build confidence in employees, reduce panic in emergency situations, and just overall strengthen the emergency preparedness, helping to protect lives, property, and the business. So now Safe and Sound Week. Safe and Sound Week is a really big event for safety. Really busy week, just really focusing on the employees, safety. It's really fun and rewarding. But this was just, we just participated in this last week from August 11th to the 15th. So just to give you some awareness on Safe and Sound, it's a nationwide initiative led by OSHA. That is really held and it's held annually each August, and it's really to elevate workplace safety and health efforts. So it's really an opportunity for us to, as an organization, strengthen the safety programs through leadership engagement, employee involvement, and also proactive hazard control. So as you can see in some of the images, these are some of the activities that we had that week. Employees had the opportunity to take some really cool, fun pictures with their cutout boards right there. And then also they had the opportunity to sign our vision board. So basically they wrote a quick message as to why they work safe and sound here at the work site. And we did bring those. I don't know if
We'll set them up afterwards.
so you can take a look at some of the
Those messages there.
messages that our employees got to write. So day 2 of our alchemy was our alchemy tournament. So it's using our Intertech alchemy system, which is basically the system that we use for like monthly trainings. So employees had the opportunity to compete amongst each other, and that's to see who can answer the most correct safety questions. And it's questions based off of our safety programs, policies, procedures, and just overall any safety trainings that were completed throughout the year. So just for awareness, it's our 4th year with using Intertech Alchemy. As you can see on the photo, I mean, it's really enjoyed by the employees. And then I just wanted to give a quick shout out to our championship winners for this year's Alchemy tournament, representing the shop maintenance and MRF operations groups. So they beat out everyone from the entire site, so huge accomplishment for them. Our 3rd day was our kind of like a team competition relay race. So in the past, I don't know if you've kind of seen our competitions, but we usually host a sorting competition. This year, employees really wanted to do something different. So we were able to collaborate as teams to create this fun but safe competition for the relay race. So it basically consisted of 3 different activities. The first activity was kind of like a litter picking. Second activity was litter toss, making sure that we're recycling these materials. And then the third activity was kind of like a PPE dress up. So included in the video that I'm showing. Basically, we have an employee over there, you know, trying to put on coveralls, hard hat, their gloves. So PPE that we have some of our maintenance groups, you know, wearing or required to wear while working. So again, what's really great about having these team competitions is that it really fosters collaborations amongst the team members. Safety committee and MRF personnel collaborate together to come up with this fun activity. And then just seeing the teams composed of employees from various departments, it was just really awesome to see that. It wasn't just, you know, hey, I'm gonna create a team, just my department. We had individuals from like the Scouts, MRF, and from landfill operations. So it was really awesome to see that. We also did observe boosts in employee engagement. So basically, it reflected higher levels of participation, collaboration, and also enthusiasm within the departments. So day 4 was our fire extinguisher training, which I already covered, so I'm not gonna cover that again, but I do want to focus on our last day of Safe and Sound Week, which is really just basically employees recognition. So throughout the week, employees were provided with an opportunity to nominate their coworkers they believe go above and beyond when it comes to safety. They set a positive example, encourage coworkers, and really help make sure that safety is a part of everyday work. So this year we received more nominations than previous years. We received a total of 50 nominations, which is big. And I just kind of want to highlight that one of our recipients for this year did receive 15 nominations. So again, it's a record on our end. But as you can see, we have our communications manager, Kristen, kind of, you know, nominating her safety hero. So that's basically the process is we just provide these cards. They're able to nominate their coworker. And then also they have to explain why they're nominating this individual. And then to the right, we have all of our safety hero recipients. So we had 2 from our landfill operations. We had 1 from engineering, another recipient from materials recovery facility, and lastly from equipment maintenance. So it was a huge success. And honestly, like we already have employees coming up to us saying like, hey, you know, for this year or for next year, we should do this. I think we can better improve, you know, maybe incorporate this into the competition. So they're already looking forward to next year's Safe and Sound Week. But that's all I have for you all. Thank you for listening. And then I'll go ahead and hand it over to Anthony.
So before I start into the next slide, obviously we've had a pretty significant focus on making our staff feel included. Safety in a lot of environments is typically approached to as that authoritative figure, that scary grim reaper watching your every move. Not to say that that isn't sometimes important to ensure we're doing the right things. I think some of the people even in this room can attest that sometimes I pop up around the corner that they didn't want me to pop around, and I'm asking them questions, right? That is something that's always going to exist in safety. Now, however, we wanted to really focus more on modernizing how we perform safety. Our safety culture here at ReGen, though effective, we are very effective at responding. We are a bit dated when it comes to the more proactive approaches to safety. We didn't want staff to always feel that safety entering into an environment was an authoritative individual or entity to be feared, but instead an ally, a support unit, something that's been an emphasis not only with myself and Sally in the safety department, but an emphasis from directors and managers and the general manager. We want them to feel a part of safety. I'm sure you'll be able to see in your memo all of the hard work we are wanting to accomplish and what we currently accomplish. But it starts with allowing staff to feel like they have authority within safety. Safety will start to be corrected on its own once staff members start feeling empowered that I'm a part of this, I'm not subject to it. So thank you again, Sally, for all of the additional training, but our focus this year and when we start doing our staff report for safety next year, hopefully we're going to be able to show you the fruits of our labors when it comes to encouraging safety around the site. But our primary focus is just that. Elevate the training experiences, include staff in conversations. Our safety, Safe and Sound Week was partially developed and scheduled by our safety committee. Our safety committee is made up of staff members from various departments. They gave feedback, they were doing presentations, they were talking, they were wanting to encourage safety around the site. Improving that interaction will ultimately help us with our safety culture. And we'll find that we're not just good at reacting to incidents, but we're also very good at preventing them. So that is the major focus, and that is something that we are very excited and happy to continually share with you, and we'll hopefully have more success stories to talk about in the coming months. So really quickly, and to talk about it, I know I've already discussed it, and I have an additional visual aid that the staff is very proud of that they designed, but it is our specific safety committee member hat, part of their safety committee member uniform. So I wanted to talk specifically about the modernization. We really wanted to modernize and expand resources and structured roles, providing members a greater influence. Our safety committee in the past had been an experience that the safety department would call a safety committee meeting every quarter, and the safety manager would kind of talk at them for about an hour. We don't want to do that anymore. We want to create resources where they are voices articulating their observations, their perceptions, and they are well equipped and aware of our policies, processes, and regulatory and safety requirements found both state and federal. So we're really encouraging and pushing the envelope with our safety committee being a part of the process, being a part of that cultural change. An addition that we've changed recently is new uniforms. We've introduced new distinctive uniforms for the committee to make members identifiable to staff and reinforce their roles as integral, visible leaders within safety. We really are trying to emphasize heavy on this. We want people to know that's my safety committee member. That individual has my back. That individual wants to make sure I'm going home the same way I came to work. If I have a concern and my supervisor is not available or my manager's in a meeting or safety department isn't present, I can go to my safety committee member and they're going to know how to respond, but they're also going to be able to escalate my concerns to the appropriate places to come up with fixes. Lastly, culture improvements. Committee members are recognized as partners in shaping site-wide safety practices, not merely compliance monitors. We need to modernize our safety program here at ReGen. Right now, it's been more of a monitor, react, discipline potentially where necessary. And I'm not saying that those things won't continue, but the focus needs to be more on we will react less, we will be less stressed. Risk footprints can be more managed when everyone feels like they're a part of the safety team. It's not the safety department, some wayward force we're all a part of safety. And that's gonna be the primary focus for our culture improvements, and our first phase to that will be with our safety committee. Next, we're gonna move into our more leadership groups, our leads, our supervisors, our managers. And then finally, we're gonna take this to the entire staff. We want everyone to feel like, I know what that policy says, I'm an expert in this, and I'm gonna execute safely, and I know how to respond if something unknown happens. The primary focus of why we're really increasing just how effective, but also cumbersome our training and awareness is with staff. Lastly, and this is kind of more informational, it's statistics of where we kind of been, lagging indicators and KPI, if you will. I'm gonna go over these quickly. I just wanted to kind of reference where we're trending. And a lot of our data shows that we're trending very well. And I'm actually specifically very proud of this number because we've also increased our reporting standards. We're reporting more incidents than we have in probably potentially ever, because we're encouraging staff to be a part of that conversation. Hey, just because you say something wrong doesn't mean that your leader is going to get upset with you. You're identifying it as wrong. No, your leader cares that you're wanting to identify it as wrong. We want to encourage you to speak up. We want to encourage you to come up with improvements with us. So as you can see, we have the most staff we've had this year, but we're also trending downward. Now, recognizably, this is current calendar year. The rest of the documentation will be in fiscal year, so that's easier to digest. But we're over halfway through the year. We're at a total of 23 injury incidents for the year. Some of these injury incidents that I'm sure we'll be covering in later dates with the board. But the overall statistical analysis is showing, even though our reporting is increasing, our near miss awareness is increasing, our injury incident rates are definitely going down across the board as an agency, which is very exciting to see. Lastly, I kind of wanted to break everything down for you just so you can see what types of incidents we're coming up with. And we've broken them down into 4 major categories. One's going to be injury. The other is going to be near miss, a new statistic that we haven't been tracking in the past until recently. Property damages, and then environmental. Most of those are going to be labeled as either smokers or fires that occur on our campus. As you can see, we're starting to see some sort of semblance of incident rates going up and down, whether it comes to injuries and property damage, which we'll go into in a little bit more detail in the next slides. But near misses, we're starting to see an increase in the beginning of, or at the end of last year for the fiscal year. And we're starting to see a taper of average statistics moving forward. One thing to bring into heavy focus here, the consistency, definite consistency of fires and smokers on the site. We were able to get feedback from staff. They were unaware at certain moments when to report certain things as smokers or fires. And this was great feedback for us because it's something we're very interested in right now, right? We are focused heavily on training them to extinguish fires. We're also tracking it. We created commercials trying to educate the public. So us being able to actually collect the right baseline metrics to understand, hey, are we being effective or not? We were able to get that feedback from staff, and now we've been able to increase our awareness. So when this was last presented to the board, they've added a few more smokers and fires in those months since you last probably saw it. So just an awareness, this is where we're at. As you can see in February, we did have an increased rate of injuries. We were able to monitor and figure out some PPE improvements specifically for the MRF sorters that has since addressed that issue. And we'll go into more detail once we get to the specific departments. Does anyone have any comments or questions in relations to any of the lagging indicators currently before I proceed into the specific departments? Excellent. Alrighty, so firstly, wanting to look specifically at the material recovery facility. This is essentially their safety health for the fiscal year from July of 2024 to July of 2025. I am happy to say currently right now, we are on 77 days with injury free. And that streak went from May 16th to just recently of July 31st. A minor injury did occur in the MRF this month. However, we are seeing great dividends. That streak is not something we're very used to seeing at the MRF. And full transparency, that is no fault of the staff that are working in the MRF. The MRF is a very dangerous area and there's a lot of exposures. But for them to be able to have the due diligence after a handful of significant incidents that occurred to them earlier in the fiscal year, taking that approach, leveraging safety as that support, they made massive strides of success. So I really wanted to make sure that that was articulated, that that number of 77 days without an injury is a very impressive number, especially when you start talking about their risk and their potential risk footprint within inside their facility. 128 days without property damage, another very successful streak. As you can see, July 31st was a bit of a day that we had to work through as a group, but we were able to overcome, and we are currently restarting our streak now since July 31st with relative success. Next is the landfill operations department. That an interesting dynamic here, but the landfill operations department actually has a bit more of an opposite interaction. Injuries are a pretty significant trending item within the MRF. Property damage is our trending item for landfill. Another impressive statistic here, and something we haven't seen get up to this counter in days, is the 63 days without a property damage incident. And 56 days near miss free. I know that that might be a little bit skeptical. Well, maybe they aren't reporting their near misses. We have seen with this department, they're very eager with sharing. They want the improvements. So we feel very confident in that number for 56 days. As you can see, a lot of our fires and smokers are from the landfill itself. Origins of these fires are things that I think we need to talk about in a little bit more detail at a later date. Right now, we don't know what's starting them. We do have some ideas of what's starting them, but obviously we're not shifting through the materials right now to find an origin source to these fires. There has been an observation in recent months of a specific material that we were taking, which has they call it gorilla fur out on the landfill, but it's more of a very thin material that's lengthy and builds up. And it has been attached to some of our equipment. The heat from our equipment running consistently throughout the day has caused some fires on our pieces of equipment itself. Maintenance and mitigations have been applied, and they are fully operational now, but some of those fires are from that material. Other fires we suspect are still from battery sources making its way into the landfill, and pressure from our equipment going over them, ultimately igniting them, and then subsequently the material surrounding them. Lastly, and something I did want to talk about a little bit more in detail, is we have our other smaller groups. Administration, HHW, LFG, and equipment maintenance. Not a lot of data here. We recognize it, and it could be one of two ways. One, we are super successful in these departments, and we do recognize that at least one of these departments has an inherently lower risk associated with them in the admin office. Or two, safety department and the safety committee might need to put a little bit more resources into assisting in evaluating risks within these departments. So to go over these notes very quickly, of these 4 departments, admin operates in a naturally lower risk environment, while the others have reported fewer incidents. This may in part reflect less safety oversight in past practices. This is not by any means to say that these departments are at fault. It's the safety department's responsibility to ensure these departments have the appropriate resources available to them. Lastly, moving forward, these departments will be more fully integrated into our safety culture initiatives with improved tracking and incident reporting. This will ensure consistency across the organization. That is all I have. If there is any comments, questions, concerns, I would love to field them now. If not, I can move forward.
Questions from the directors?
I do have a couple questions. One question being, and I super appreciate the report, and I really just appreciate the presentation and the work, and the commitment to, and having, this be such an inclusive process and an inclusive commitment. I feel that way when I'm here at ReGen, and I feel that way when when I'm talking to ReGen employees. So I hope that is in fact the case, and I just appreciate that that's a continued commitment, that, I mean, it really is all of us, in this together, who keep each other safe and make sure that we all collectively are going home to our families, safely every day. So thank you for continuing to invest in that. Also wanted to say I reached out to Felipe that fairly recently, asking about the AED program. The county, I guess, registers AEDs. I learned about that recently through our health department, and there's a program called Pulse Point. It's an app you can actually download on your phone, and it tells you the location of all of the AEDs that are located around Monterey County. So if you're ever in a situation where you might need access to an AED, you've got this app on your phone and you can very quickly identify where the nearest AED is. So when I downloaded the app, I went to all the locations that I spend time at, and I realized there wasn't one registered for ReGen, and so I called Felipe, and he's like, oh no, we've got them, we've got the AEDs here. So fantastic. So thank you for already being 2 steps ahead on some of those big important things. In terms of the tracking the acute injuries, do we also have a program where we're tracking sort of the repetitive injuries and the longer term, the repetitive work injuries? And so I'm thinking for so many of our workers, I'm just imagining the types of work that we have people doing. We're at risk for the sort of ergonomic, leaning over a line, or it's very manual labor in some of our situations. And so can you maybe just speak a little bit to how we're tracking and how we're managing those longer term risks?
Yeah, absolutely. So it might be a multi-part answer to your question. First and foremost, internally, we do have an internal tracking dashboard we collect information from incidents, and there will be key phrases that we can then group and understand, hey, this is a trending item for a department, or this is a trending item for a specific employee. Also additionally, through SDRMA, our EMOD is going to be tracking those items as well. So, and we also do have evaluations inside of our incident report packages that also label things as ergonomic injuries potential as well. So if a staff member is reporting a repetitive stress injury, even not just from the MRF sorting, which we are definitely covering, but even in here inside the admin building, we do have immediate responses and resources, and we are definitely tracking those pieces of information. And we would be more than happy to share in detail our tracker and how we're doing things, obviously being respective of employees' personal information. So if that is something that anyone on the board would ever be interested in, the safety department can definitely support going into that level of detail on how we're tracking. But repetitive injuries or recur incidents are definitely a part of our tracking process here at ReGen.
Okay, and that all sort of fits into risk management and workman's comp claims and sort of the costs. So there's the immediate moral obligation to ensure the safety of everyone. And then there's also sort of the cost management of once you have a claim and we manage the long-term health care costs for.
Our EMOD is definitely very healthy right now in comparison to previous years.
Okay.
But we definitely do collaborate. A lot of that is ran through the safety department, but we also leverage HR departments and the finance department to be aware of those trackings as far as any sort of information from a claim standpoint.
Okay, yeah, maybe the claims question would be sort of my broader question to that point.
We definitely have that tracked as well, and we can share that information, at least from where statistically we have been and where we are now. Okay. And also our process to make sure that claims are being addressed and evaluated. Okay. A lot of that process has been handled internally with HR in the past. The safety department is there to support with factual documentation to ensure the most accurate outcomes.
Okay, got it. And then just my only other question is, and then maybe this is just a curiosity, as we looking at the injury-free days, and you always see that when you go onto a construction site, and my office is surrounded by them right now. But I've always wondered, I love the idea of like, oh yeah, like we're celebrating, we're safety zone. But I've always wondered if there's if maybe there's if it creates like a, we don't want to report, something because I don't want to be the reason.
Yeah.
And I know different personality types have different, some people that's motivating, and for other people that could be a different type of motivation to not say something. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
And
I'm not.
I have
Toss that out there and I don't know.
yeah, I think I have a pulse and an awareness. I too do not want to ever create an incentive to not report. And it can go one of two ways. You'll get in trouble if you report, or hey, you're gonna ruin the nice thing for everybody if you report, right? Those are the things we want to avoid, which is why even though we definitely want to brag about our staff to our board, we're not going to be interested in publishing that information anywhere. So that's the first point. We aren't necessarily having this be an inward facing environment exclusively more to our board and their directors to let them know that their staff are doing well. But also simultaneously, a healthy, modern safety culture. That won't matter. They won't care as much about the burger day as they will about ensuring the health and safety of their counterparts. And that's where we have to focus. We are definitely very aware that we do not want to create any programs that incentivize non-reporting, which is why we're holding some information a little closer, at least right now. But once we're able to get this modernization of a more mature safety interaction among staff at all levels of staff, that's when we would feel more comfortable broadcasting and advertising their successes. But until we get to that moment where everybody has been, and I know this sounds like a horrible word, but indoctrinated into the safety culture, that's where I think we would be more confident and people are going to want to do the right thing. My goal here in the safety department's goal here is you're not going to need an Anthony Martin or a Sally Madero walking around to make an environment safer. Your staff are going to do it for you. So I'm hoping that that is going to be the fix to the incentive to not report. And until we as a leadership group feel confident with the board's input as well, we're not going to maneuver into that direction until we're ready.
Yeah, and I'll just say, from where I sit, like, I want our employees to feel 100%, like, we want to hear it. We want to know
Of course.
how to continuously improve, and we want everyone to come to work knowing that their health and safety is above and beyond top priority.
Absolutely.
So thank you for the work you're doing, and keep it up. And to all of our employees, we care about your health and your safety, and so keep doing the work to make sure everyone goes home safely.
Thank you, Director Esky.
Any other comments or questions, Director Burn?
Yes. Excellent report, very impressive. And Sally, you did a great job for your first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I personally enjoyed it a lot, your attitude. One of the things that's really touched me was I've been working diligently with our city leadership to improve our culture. And you touched on many of the same things. I'm not gonna go through all the details, but it was really good to see it in action. And once again, I'm gonna piggyback on your work to leverage it, which is nice. If you could send a copy of the presentation, because I don't think it was in the package.
Oh, yes.
At least the first part. Not the stats so much, but the way, the programs you did to encourage a different kind of attitude and culture within the associates here.
Absolutely.
I thought that was wonderful, and again, I'm gonna steal some ideas.
Yeah, we have a lot of resources and materials that we would be happy to
I'd
share
love
with
to get
you.
together for you to chat about it in more detail, but.
Of course.
Great work, I'm thrilled to be part of this.
Oh, and it's not me. It's definitely the amazing foundation that ReGen staff has here. But we would be more than welcome to have you at the safety department and share anything we can.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Anthony, I do have a quick question.
Of
So
course.
first, again, thank you, Sally. You guys did a great presentation. I like your approach of really empowering your employees and not like breaking down those silos so that those different departments are working together in safety. I like that. I was just curious, do you have a hard time recruiting people to your trainings for these 4 that you mentioned? Or
We used to. Now, we find ourselves not having enough headcount. We have too much headcount for volunteers.
Good.
In the past, I think when I first started and maybe in previous years, it was difficult to find volunteers. Right now, we have a total of, I believe, 20 safety committee member seats. We have 6 that want to join outside of those already filled 20 seats. And then for safety trainings, we typically don't have enough headcount for the trainings.
You could look at the engine as additional extractions of the values from the landfill. So when those went down, we had to compensate for those extraction values. We're learning and we're gonna continue to apply that. I think our engineering team, our new management team, Jamison Pfister, our assistant director of operations we're all sorting through it. Our finance team is working on the values to really emphasize where are we going with our landfill collection and how are we gonna continue to create a vessel that will take us for the next 30 to 40 years, changing from the old strategies from the past. So not the best news, but we're excited that that our local district is able to speak towards these items that we're working towards, and we were very excited to hear their CEO and general manager emphasize, yes, doesn't look good with violations, but your efforts are gonna get you to that endpoint sooner than others. And you guys will be reflected on as that model position for how we're extracting and being compliant with the extraction of the methane gas from the landfills. Thank you, Chair.
Great, thank you. Any comments on this? Yes, Director Sedgwick.
Yes, thank you for preparing this report and sharing it with us. Just from my understanding, landfill to gas is a complex operation in itself. Is it fair to say that methane emissions, any landfill for that matter, not just ReGen, it's very common for methane emissions to leak, right?
Yes, it is, and there is more tools like the carbon mapper, which is the satellite views of emissions occurring. During this process, we also learned that we would have value in acquiring our own methane tool to see those evaluations of exceedances real time. So we put a significant investment. The tool was a little north of $20,000, but it will give us the same tool that the air board is using, the state board is using, and we can start remediation at that moment. We can use our own wand, we can go figure out how much is the exceedances and do the remediation without waiting for a third party to mobilize itself in 1, 2 days, maybe that same day. And our operations team jumps right on it immediately. So adding these additional features and learning from the compliance values when we have them and really readying ourselves for future compliance. And we believe that the state air board and the local district air boards are using these tools more often, and they're really starting to apply to push people to a low C system, to better extraction and to mitigate the common leakage of methane leaking out of the landfill. So we are definitely learning. I believe the air boards are getting more aggressive around. We need to do a better job at this, and I like it. I think we're prepared, yet we also need to find where we're going long-term wise and be able to make all these adjustments to these new items that we're putting into our infrastructure. I'm excited by it. Again, I think the downfall is we got caught at a really, really bad time on a normal operational day. Engines all running, the outcome might not have been the same, but we'll learn from the lesson.
Yeah, I think the reason I asked that is, when as I view this technology can be kind of like much better at our side versus MBARD, or MBARD may have better technology than us. There's an interplay here. And what I'm getting at is, I won't be surprised if there's a future notice of violation too, because as we prep our services up, we're continuously learning, and so is MBARD.
Yeah.
So just setting the board for that. My question, the secondary question is, does MBARD track all these NOVs? Can I ask them for what's
Yes.
going on in the future?
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks.
David, any comments?
Yeah, I'll kind of bounce off your question. This is, the future is here. The air district or the air board, California Air Resources Board, they shot satellites into space and they're monitoring facilities from space. Landfills are known super emitters of methane. And so now we're gonna be seeing the regulators empowered by this new information that they're getting from the satellites and be able to say, oh, there's a problem at this landfill. We can now see a plume coming out of it, and it's gonna direct their efforts towards going to do a site inspection. And so I think that these kind of inspections are gonna happen, or they're gonna happen more often when facilities are flagged by these satellites. We've been preparing for this. We've had 22 wells that were already slated to be installed a couple days after the inspection. We got the advanced low-C system installed as these automated wellheads to manage these emissions. So the analogy I've been saying, not to minimize it, but the analogy I've been saying is we're in the middle of a kitchen remodel and we know the kitchen's gonna be really great, but the boss comes over for dinner unexpectedly and we have to microwave some food. So we know that the trajectory of this facility's performance is gonna be top notch. We're going above and beyond what most landfills are doing. Along the way, we're learning about the technology we're implementing, and there are hiccups in the operation of the system. But we know that we're gonna be one of the top facilities in the area. So it's just adding more fuel to that effort. And I think we've been making huge strides in that arena.
Yeah, I could say in this case, you can say adding more flair.
Yes, sir.
I have a question related to this. After seeing the safety report earlier, it seems to me that the whole relationship is sort of wrong. Like, we're gonna catch you doing things. If you look at what the safety department did, I mean, they're encouraging people to report the problem, like, why can't we have access to the same tools that they have? So they're not catching us, we're catching ourselves constantly, and they're just seeing how good we are. I mean, because you're encouraging employees, don't hold the information back, like, let's report it. Let's be part of the solution. It just seems like there's something wrong with this whole way that this works.
Well, if I can speak to that, at ReGen, and this may sound corny, at the risk of sounding corny, but regulators are really a collaborative element of what we do. We have the same goals. We want to collect the gas. We want to be in compliance. We want to actually increase the extraction we have. So tooting our horn a bit, when the inspectors came here and showed up, they were actually surprised at their access to the site. We have nothing to hide. We've allowed researchers from UC Berkeley, from UC Davis to come and install monitoring systems on the landfill because we're an open book. We don't treat regulators as adversary. They're really here to implement the strategies or confirm the strategies that we're implementing. So I think they got a different reception than they were used to. And that's just how we operate with our regulators when they come.
But I'm just saying that for Philippe to say, you know, I'm really sorry to have to do this report. There's something wrong with that, given the openness that we have as an organization. And that we'd love to catch ourselves quickly. How can we get to that point so these reports aren't even necessary? Like, because we're a true partner.
I would just like to add, Director Byrne, as you can hear, we're being very proactive to be out in front of this. It was a bit of a surprise to us coming from the landfill operations side because we'd had a number of very successful quarters and had made good progress on our surface emissions that we do quarterly. So I was not with the regulators or the enforcement agents when they were here, but the way they were doing their tests is different than what we're helped to do on a quarterly basis. They walk the grids and they do it, and it's a couple-day process. My understanding, they were sticking their probes right into cracks, which in certain types of cover, like a soil, it's gonna have some clay in it and it'll desiccate. When it shrinks, it cracks. And so they're going right in there. So if you stick it long enough, you're gonna eventually get a hit. So, but it does not negate us from doing the right thing, which is make sure our cover is good, make sure we have other infrastructure in place, like David said, expand the gas system and construct more wells and all that kind of thing. That will definitely help. But you know, as you can see, we've discussed, we're being more proactive. Challenge Will, to Director Pruderi's comment. Federal level, we're seeing it's going down, some of the requirements. State of California is raising the bar again, and it's gonna get more and more challenging for us going forward.
Well, I'm proud of you guys. And I don't think you should feel guilty about this because it's amazing.
It's gonna be a nice kitchen. Nice kitchen, that's enough.
Yeah, I think just to add to it, how do we catch ourselves sooner? We're now getting the carbon mapper reports ourselves. We've gotten ourselves our tool. We're creating a mini two-man team as we visit these wellheads to manage them, to observe it, to kind of track what we can do there. We're considering we have about 120 wells, 40 well inspection every month for a quarter, so that an operator like Jameson will feel confident. These last 40 wells that I just reviewed 3 days ago are absolutely compliant. I may be more concerned with what I inspected 2 months ago. So adding these additional features so that we could be the ones saying, we got an issue, before we have someone saying, you have an issue. So to David's point, we are growing and getting there faster than any others, and yet we want to be the elite. So when we get these, it's hard for our team. We want to be proud, but probably not the proudest moment for us. Yeah. Thank you. Great.
If I may,
Yeah.
I just want to say, thank you for being so transparent and having it on the agenda. I think that's part of how we build forward. And I sit on the Monterey Bay Air Resources District. So sort of I'm in this dual space. Today I sit with ReGen. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, the day before, I sat with MBARD. And the Air District is a regulatory agency that is regulatory by state legislative mandate. And so to the question of how do we work collaboratively, I think within the restrictions that the district and CAR have defined, I think that the district has we all share collectively, if I can speak on behalf of everyone, we share the same goals. We want to achieve the same outcomes. And so to the degree that wearing my ReGen hat, I think to the degree that ReGen has moved forward in our commitment to address the issues that we need to address. Going back historically, we haven't always been as transparent or proactive as ReGen in how we've engaged in those violations. And so for us to be transparent about them, to acknowledge them, to be proactive, I feel like we're doing the right things from where we sit here today. And I feel really good about the position that we're, as ReGen, sitting in. So thank you for agendizing it. Thank you for just being honest, and to the team that's working so hard to, and then feeling still like maybe you're caught flat-footed at points in time. I know that we share the goal. Like we want to control. We want clean air and healthy air for everyone in our community. And I know we're going to great lengths to be proactive to address those issues too. So it is a shared outcome that we're working towards. I think we're doing the right thing. So.
Yeah, and that's the key too. Felipe said 4 days, but it was really 2. We had the weekend broken up and to get caught up with it so that the team knocked it out. What needed to be done in 2 days, actually. It was a Friday and then it carried over on a Monday. So we had the weekend breakup. That's what caused the 4 day, but we were on it very expeditious.
And sometimes those regulatory relationships are just designed to be what they are. And I feel from where I sit, I feel really good about the work we're doing. For whatever that's worth. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, thank you. All right, moving on to board communications 11A. That just as a reminder, the SDRMA election is still open, and I'm looking for feedback from you on the candidates. Ida, I was wondering maybe you could send out again the candidates, and then once I get your feedback, then I'll go ahead and we will vote on that. So.
Could you just remind us who they are? Would really get a reminder?
I don't have them in front of me.
Okay.
I can send it on.
Ida will send them out, so.
Okay, yeah. And I do have just a question. I was on the website for the Monterey Special Districts Association for Monterey County. And it says that they meet the third Thursday of January, April, July, and October. But the meeting agendas for January, April, and July aren't listed on their website. So I'm just curious if those meeting agendas. I don't know, do we have a contact for the Special Districts Association?
Ellen?
I'm the main contact for our district here. So
Do they-
the risk manager. And this vote has to be cast this year's, differently from the prior years. It has to be cast electronically. So I need to wait to ask you guys. I believe the candidates were disseminated earlier, but I can resend that out to everyone.
Okay,
Yeah.
do they actually meet? Does the board actually meet?
I'm not part of that SDRMA board meetings. I'm just the representative for us when we're doing any kind of risk management here. Felipe might know, SDRMA, are you part of that?
Yes, we are part of SDRMA.
No, are you part of the board?
Do we
No.
go to
No.
a meeting?
I am not part of
No,
the board,
okay.
yes.
I'm just curious, that, I just think they don't have any information about their meeting. It says they do meet, and it says they have meetings.
Well,
listed, but
I
they
do
don't
attend their meetings, but I am not part of their board.
Oh.
I attend to quarterly meeting to SDRMR meetings. Nick Becker attends them as well. We attend there, we disperse information. It's a quarterly meeting, 4 times out of the year. And it starts at 6 and it goes to about 8:15, 8:30 regular.
Okay, I guess they don't have any, and their agenda is listed online, so if that could just be feedback that goes back to whoever, that'd be.
Maybe there was a temporary blip or something, because I am seeing the agendas for SDRMA on the web now, so maybe when you were looking, it wasn't available. Happy to send over that link to you.
Maybe I'm
And,
on
and
the
as a
wrong
public
spot.
agency,
Okay.
they should be meeting.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right, before we get into general manager communications, I know we have a public comment that would, like to be given. So I'm gonna just take a break and open up our public comments again, so, we'll go ahead and I'll accept public comment. Freya,
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for opening this up for me to have an opportunity to speak with you. Thank you, board, for all the work that you do. My name is Freya Reed. I'm the newly appointed CEO of Last Chance Mercantile, BTC Last Chance Mercantile. Always impressive to come to these meetings. What this team does is unbelievable. Zoe signs, incredible, love it. David, the organics process and progress, amazing. Landfill gas, Jameson, my partner and point of contact on site, has been incredible, an amazing supporter of me. And also all the other work that he does. I can't even imagine what's on his plate. And I think it's all a testament to the GM who organizes this team that is incredible. Sorry, Anthony. Safety and security. I feel safe because of Anthony. I really do. And that's wonderful on my team. I'm here before you to read a short letter on behalf of Last Chance Mercantile. We understand that the ReGen board may be discussing the agreement with VTC LCM LLC and ReGen today in closed session. A desire to share that VTC LCM remains committed to its partnership with ReGen and to waste reduction. We've diverted more than 600 tons of waste in the last 12 months and have the capacity to increase that amount of diversion. We regret that the negotiations between VTC, LCM, and ReGen have become adversarial, but many material changes have been made to the agreement that are adverse to our interests. In particular, the insertion of the right of the ReGen to retake essential parking and substantially all of the salvage yard after 2 years, as well as our right to exercise a third option to extend. VTC has invested in the site and is disappointed by the prospect of being able to continue this operation for only another 2 or 3 years. We hope that the ReGen board values our commitment to waste reduction and to serving the community and will enable us to remain on the site for another 6 years. My only wish is to work in collaboration with ReGen to achieve our common goals and to let this powerful and unique model serve others in the industry. Thank you.
Okay, with that, I will look at the public comments. And we'll go back to General Manager Communications.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Freya. I want to go right into the general manager comments. We had CRRA conference and tour in Monterey. The California Resource Recovery Association held their annual conference in Monterey from August 4th through the 7th. I attended along with Director of Operations Jay Ramos and our communications team, Zoe, Kristen, Eric, were significant importance during the conference time. The conference started with a lifetime achievement tribute to former district general manager here at ReGen, Tim Flanagan, who won the Recycler of the Year award. Last Chance Mercantile and Freya received the Golden Arrow Award for Excellence in Product Stewardship. We were very excited about the conference awardees. Our communications team played a key role in the CRRA conference, serving on the local host committee and helping make the event a huge success. At the conference, Director of Communications Zoe Schultz joined Salinas Valley Recycles and the cities of Monterey, Seaside, in a session called Multi-Agency Collaborative Relationships, highlighting the power of working together on shared challenges and unified messaging for Senate Bill 1383. ReGen Monterey programs were also featured in sessions on stakeholder perspectives on edible food recovery, which showcased the positive impact felt by grant recipients from the Veterans Transition Center and CSUMB Basic Needs Hub. It was all hands on deck for one of the largest facility tours in years. More than 60 attendees explored the landfill, the composting yard, the Last Chance Mercantile, getting an up close look at our operations in action. A big thank you to our communications, safety, operations teams for managing a complex logistics and showcasing of our facility. It's the best solid waste and recycling professionals from across California that were here, so we were very excited by that visit. You know, I'm still getting emails about questions about what we do and how we do it and how much we can share. But to David's point, we want to be an open book for not only other public agencies, with regulators, everything that's going on. So I was very excited. It was a huge successful week. A lot of work that the communications have been doing. Thank you, Zoe, for your team efforts throughout the process. We had another item, which was California Recycle Contractor, HDR Inc., toured ReGen Monterey for Senate Bill 54. Senate Bill 54 is an extended producer responsibility packing law that will shift the financial burden of waste handling from manufacturers to waste handlers or municipalities who process their materials covered under the law. Communications and operations staff hosted HDR Inc., contractor hired by CalRecycle, who is touring the facilities, gathering data to determine what infrastructure could be needed for these processing needs for MRFs and composting operations. HDR is compiling a statewide report to CalRecycle to help guide implementation and funding distributions. We had a meeting with Circular Action Alliance. As part of Circular Action Alliance ongoing engagement with California Senate Bill 54, implementation as designated by Producer Responsibility Organization, staff from ReGen completed and reviewed a targeted survey assessing stakeholder prospects on compliance readiness, material labeling, and producer responsibility under the new legislation. The survey gathered data and operational process from ReGen's MRF operation. The ReGen data and the data of other selected MRFs will help the Circular Action Alliances complete a statewide report to CalRecycle. So this is a huge and significant benefit for our organization. This will add dollars. I think over a period of time, it's $50 million that could be distributed to public agencies to help with the infrastructure, to help process some of the materials that are coming from manufacturers that they haven't been responsible. The burden has been on public agencies to do that processing for them. So we want to keep you updated on Senate Bill 54. Completion of our EAR reports. Thank you to our communication manager, Kristen O'Hara, for helping coordinate and submit electronic annual reports to CalRecycle on behalf of our member jurisdictions. The electronic annual report is each jurisdiction's self-assessment of its progress in meeting the state recycling reduction laws, including Senate Bill 1383, AB 341, and AB 1826, and other environmental requirements. In the details, per capita disposal rates, diversion programs, facilities, and any updates to solid waste planning documents. Thank you to Christian, your sustainability and public works staff, the haulers, for working together to complete these items, reporting requirements. We should be proud that we are ahead of the curve when it comes to compliance, sustainability, and multi-agency partnerships. And if you're curious how long these reports take to establish, each report is 67 pages. There's 7 municipalities that have to fill out the report, and it takes Kristen roughly 4 months to gather all the data and information, along with doing all her normal daily tasks. So I think we deserve a round of applause for that. We also launched our website. We're really proud to have launched our new website, ReGenMonterey.org. This refresh alongside our new signage program marks one of the final milestones in our organization's rebrand, which began in 2022. As shared at our last board meeting, the new site is designed with our customers in mind. It features streamlined content, simplified navigation, a modern look that highlights our photography of our staff and our vibrant colors of our facility. Please check it out and let us know what you think. So again, it's in play. A lot of work being performed at ReGen on all scales, all levels. We're really proud of where we're going. We heard about Safe and Sound Week. We appreciate the efforts from Sally and Anthony. Sally, we appreciate elevating yourself. You were definitely a focus point during Safe and Sound Week, and all we could hear from the employees was engage the interactive trainings that were going on, and that they were happy to be participating in them, and then seeing a new leader emerge at the same time. So we're really excited about that as well. CSDA, finally, I have CSDA Special District Leadership Academy. The California Special Districts Association is hosting their Special District Leadership Academy in Seaside this year from November 16th to 19th. The academy is being offered to the board members and special districts. So please let us know if you're interested in attending. We can register you. Sessions include governance foundations, board rules and human resources, setting direction and community outreach, and the board's role in finance and fiscal accountability. The academy is considered the core special district governance training in California. Attending the full conference along with continuing education courses from CSDA can help you earn a certificate in special district governance. We do have Director Delgado that has shown interest, and also Director Ruth Askew that has shown interest. So you guys can notify me directly, and we will get you prepared for the November training with CSDA. And that will conclude my comments.
Okay, great. Thank you, Felipe. All right, the next.
Question?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
The response, the first one, of course, you didn't read because we just spent 10, 15, 20 minutes on it. Do you anticipate going forward that there will be continual leaks, little, minor? You can have a big system out there, multiple acres of produce, and to say that we'll never have a leak is kind of hard.
I would agree.
And so we will have leaks going forward. Over Pebble Beach Community Service District, we have sewer leaks. And we get those sewer leaks, and occasionally there's some are big, some are small. Generally, we've had very small ones, but all agencies that deal with produce like that have difficulties, and we monitor them best possible and quick. So you anticipate we will have leaks, we'll be on top of them quicker, et cetera, et cetera.
I agree that we are monitoring, putting systems into play, being proactive. We do expect to have issues with monitoring wells, and it's the nature of our beast. Do we have 120 of them? I would not go on the ledge and say we're not gonna have any in the future, because I don't think we could fulfill that at this time. As technology grows, we will get better at it. Thank you. You're welcome.
I'd also just like to add, Director McKee, that gas
production and all that, it's variable kind of thing, so. You may be able to go there one day and it's a hit, the next day it's not, it's just, it's.
But when you have inspectors come here and you have cracks and they have certain things that they can check on, you're susceptible to
Yes.
situations.
The areas we had cracks to were known to have good cover. Part of our challenge here going forward is we're in an area that our soil type is sandy, that as
Well,
porous.
And they may have been good yesterday, but today,
There's a lot of variables that go in all this, so yeah, we're, we've discussed here today, we're doing a lot of proactive between the equipment, using the carbon mapper and other types of software to be out front and really, in the industry, set the standard.
thank you.
Have any comments from
Yes.
Ramirez?
Just wanted to say that we're required to monitor the system ourselves. If we find it, which is what the regulations are bent towards, we can correct it. If the regulator finds it, that's where you end up in the NOV side. So we do get the opportunity quarterly to monitor, or we're required quarterly to monitor the system. And if we find them, we're allowed to correct them. We're given a timeline to correct. It's when the regulator shows up. So we're incentivized to find them ourselves. Yes.
Good. All right, so we have come to the part of the agenda where we're still gonna be in session. But we are gonna take a little field trip out to see the scale house remodel, and we're gonna have ribbon cutting out there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna move efficiently out there safely,
Yes.
and then we'll come back here and adjourn.
And just some direction for the board members, we're gonna make our way out the main lobby. We're gonna go back out the front door. We're gonna exit across, we'll get some guidance from the safety team. We're gonna take a photo op first, and then we'll give you a safety vest secondary, and then we'll start the highlighting of the scale. And we'd like to take maybe 10 minutes to do all of this, and we'll come back during the meeting. We did this intentionally, we really wanted everybody to get their eyes on the hard work. I think the biggest takeaway for this remodel is, we've been wanting it for some time. I think the initial bid request came in at 1.3 million. We rejected that bid. And I think we spent just a little over 300,000 to get the same amount of work done, so we're very excited. We've been prudent to our financial responsibility. Thank you, Director Ramirez, and thank you all the staff that supported the process. Johnny Van Dyke is not here today, he's our project manager. The board supported that role. It has paid itself off tenfold, it continues to prove itself. And also Jeff Henley, who is another position that the board authorized, which is our executive, know how to do it all construction person. And he's put in a significant amount of manual labor into this project. We're very excited by it. Director Ramirez, any comments or anything that I might have missed in this process?
So just, thanks to the board. This allows us to actually self-perform work. So that's really where the savings came from, and not having to hire a general contractor to do it. We were able to do a lot of the project management, and some of the loose ends could be handled by internal staff. And that's all while maintaining the facility as well. So we're getting a lot of value out of these positions.
And one last highlight that I would like to really identify. We take in 800 customers through that scale system. That vessel for delivering customers through there was hitting its life expectancy, so we needed to update it, scale house remodel. This board also approved 2 new scales to be installed, which is scale C and B. Those were well over their life expectancy, over 30 years of service. We believe that our vessel to process customers and get delivered into the remaining piece of our system will be good for 40 to 50 years. So we're very excited. We thank the board that we have ensured that we can continue to process customers. Even if we have stuff go down, we know that the quality is there. It will all need to be fixed. It may be some nuances along the way, but really, really nice work from ReGen staff and the board to collaborate to get the need that we desired for a long period of time. We have 100 years plus of landfill life, so we need a vessel to process customers timely and as fast as we can. So I'm very, very excited. Let's get started with our tour.
All right, thank you. So we're back from our scale house remodel tour. Thank you very much for that. So I'd like to go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Our next meeting will be Friday, September 19th. Have a good month. Thank you.
Thank you.